Good morning, everybody. This is Byron Lehman, and this is the Jittery Goat YouTube channel. And I also have a website. It's entitled The Jittery Goat, and you'll find it at jitteryg.com. That's where you're going to find my short stories, and you'll also find the links to my novels on Amazon. Excuse me. And I just want to remind everybody before we start is if you have any comments, please leave them in the comments section. In addition to that, hit the subscribe button if you will. I'd appreciate that also. Well, I'm going to talk about a short story that I posted yesterday, and I'm going to put a link to it in our description section so you can link to it. It's called Lance Merriweather, Frontier Coiffeur. And this story is based upon, I wrote this story probably about 25 years ago. And I mentioned once before in one of my other videos that I used to write for and help edit and publish a shop newspaper or newsletter. And they gave me kind of a wide berth that I could write anything, virtually anything I wanted to. And so I wrote this story. It was about Lance Merriweather. And it was based upon a contract employee that my company had, and he was an efficiency expert. And he was rather effeminate, and although a very likable guy and very good at his job. And I think he was at our plant for maybe 3 or 4 months, and he left. And of course, being a guy's shop, you know, everybody kind of made fun of him a little bit. But on the other hand, we all respected him because he did do a good job, and sometimes he took breaks with us, and we kind of enjoyed that because he was just a nice person. However, when he left, there was a lot of chuckles when he left because of the way he acted. He was very effeminate. So I sort of wrote this story is to pay homage to him, and so his name was actually his name was Lance. And I love that name, Merriweather, and so I named him Lance Merriweather. And so I won't tell you any more about the story. That's that's the basis of the story. And I wrote it. It was rather long for our newsletter, but it covered a page or more, I think. And so we printed it, and it brought a lot of chuckles. It's kind of a funny story. I think you'll enjoy it reading it. So for those of you who are writers, I think the important thing is sometimes all stories are character driven. And if you find yourself a compelling character, no matter where you find him at, you can build a story around that person. They're a story waiting to happen. So find a compelling character. And Lance Merriweather is a compelling character in my view. And so the actual character was kind of a template for it, but this is not a new concept that I went for. It's been done many times. Like I said, I did this 25 years ago, and what was my the shows that I kind of remember on TV that kind of emulated this was there was a show in the I think it was in the early 60s. It was called Sugarfoot, and it starred a guy named an actor named Will Hutchins, who was a pretty good actor, but he never did too much beyond that. He did a lot of other acting gigs, but he played the part of Tom Brewster, who was a young man just traveling in the West, and he was studying to be a lawyer. And he never carried a six gun or any rifle or anything like that. But he just went from town to town. He'd find himself in these different situations, and he had always win situations by his wit and wisdom as a young guy, and his innocence, and not so much when I don't know if he ever used a gun or not, or his fist. But anyway, that was kind of the story. And I remember that often he'd walk into a bar, and this, again, it's an often told story. He doesn't look like he belongs. He's just a young Sugarfoot. He's a greenhorn, and everybody looks at. He's the only guy without a gun, and he's got this young boyish look about himself. Um, so he goes into a bar. He goes up to the bar, and the bartender says, "Whiskey," and he'd always say, "Give me a sarsaparilla with a dash of cherry." Sarsaparilla with a dash of cherry. Now, if you don't know what sarsaparilla is, it's root beer, and with a dash of cherry. I don't know. I don't know what that would taste like, but nevertheless, he'd always ask for sarsaparilla and a dash of cherry. So, and also, I don't know how many have seen the short film, The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, with Tim Blake Nelson. Again, a pristine cowpoke, so to speak. It doesn't belong there. He's dressed all in white and comes into a bar, and he's dirty, messy, gunslingers and cowpokes. He doesn't belong there. So it's kind of that type of, and this is Lance Merriweather, this type of person. He doesn't belong. The real person didn't belong in the shop. He just didn't fit in. And so in my short story, Lance Merriweather, a frontier coiffeur, doesn't belong in a frontier saloon. Anyway, so both those characters kind of went in my mind as I wrote this. I think they did anyway. But what I'm trying to say more than anything, I didn't have a new idea. It's just an old concept. Is there a lesson learned by this little vignette, this little short story? I think so. I think a lesson that no matter who you are, you can, how strange a person is to, the group, and how different they are from the group. That adds to the group. If you're trying to accomplish a job, there's men and women that are maybe assigned to do a task, and one of them seems to be an outlier. Sometimes that's the person that really helps out, that they have a different idea or a different approach. So the lesson is that we can all contribute. If we're working in a group, everybody can contribute to the overall mission or the overall project. How the success of a project. The point, it takes all kinds, and for goodness, oftentimes us guys in the shop, when we're working on a project, we think the same way. And here we have a guy who doesn't look like us. And he comes up with a good idea that's so much different. Why didn't we think of that? Well, we just didn't. And it's because this guy thinks a little bit different and he acts a little bit different. And so, anyway, it takes all kinds. And the thing is that, like this fella, I think we all grew to like him. And I think you like that type of person. What pugnaciousness to be so outlandishly different than anyone else and come right into the group and affect the group without feeling any sort of embarrassment, and just being yourself, and at the same time being kind to others and helping them. And you'll see in this little short story how this works out. So here's another thing too. I thought I'd just pass on too. That everybody has something hidden in their personality, and it's just itching to come out. Okay, we have this, and as a result, there's a story in everybody that's just itching to be told. Sometimes we as writers, we have to find that story and tell that person's story, or sometimes you're the person that has something that's just itching to come out. So why not try to write it in a story? Okay, I think you may surprise yourself in the long run. So that's going to be it for this morning. I hope you link to my short story. In addition to that, go to my website, take a look at the books at Amazon, and look around a little bit if you will. And thanks for stopping by. And once again, I'm going to, in the description, or please leave your comments, and also hit the subscribe button. And I'll put the link to this story in the comment section, or not the comment section. What I'll do, I'll put it in the description section. And then just like to leave you with these words: do good stuff, read good stuff, write good stuff, and see good stuff in others. Take care. Bye.